Good evening, everyone. John Henry Soto here, along with George Batista. Welcome to the Counterparts show. We are very excited because it is Boricua Day here at the Counterparts show. We are very excited. We have Giselle Achecar is going to be on the show today. And you talk about someone who does it all and is amazing.
Yep.
What? What? Incredible. So please hang tight. We're going to have an amazing show. So come on back. Cool. So this is great because George and I, we talk a lot about sometimes doing a lot of things and being interested in things and being successful at it. And here's someone who's doing it, and I think that that's part of the excitement of this type of a show for us because we're able to prove people wrong.
Don't you just love to prove people wrong?
I love it because it's just so we'll pick one. Don't you're doing too many things, But I mean, there's truth to certain things, and we're going to talk about it today anyway. But I'm very excited to have her on now. I know we have our sponsor. So George, I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's do our sponsor, and then we'll come on back and do some rock and roll.
Thank you, sir. So, as always, the Counterpart Show is brought to you by Wellness Resources, a family-owned and operated nutritional supplement company providing the highest quality, clinically formulated supplements since 1985. Find out why Wellness Resources supplements are the top choice of health-conscious individuals around the world. Make sure you go to myvitaminresource.com. And if you enter the promo code Counterparts, you will get free shipping on your order. And on top of that, they have their April specials. They have a special every month. And of course, they have an April special, and it's 25 to 30% off of their joint and repair supplements. So again, check that out. That's at myvitaminresource.com. All right. So we have a guest today that wears many hats. So we're very excited to talk to Giselle. So let's go into a little bit of her background. Giselle had a diverse background across industries as varied as technology, healthcare, cybersecurity, media, entertainment, and leading marketing teams at startups and Fortune 100 companies. She's launched businesses in media, food, and biotech, and has had 3 screenplays optioned by major Hollywood studios. Giselle uses her experience and knowledge to empower entrepreneurs to build and scale their brands by giving them the confidence and the skills to create kick-ass marketing and brand stories that position them to manifest their vision. Giselle is also an attorney, graduated from the Stanford Law School and Duke University, the New School of Cooking, and also has various acting and writing programs. And we are absolutely excited and honored to talk with her today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Giselle Achecar.
Woo!
Yes. All right.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna be dancing salsa, but I got a baby grand back there, and it's not mine because that's a fake background.
You rented it just for the show. Wow.
I can go get my congas. They're right behind me, but you can't see it because I got a fake background.
Percussion, baby.
I got my maracas, my congas.
I love it. So Giselle, thank you so much for doing this. This is an honor, and we met on a David Breyer event, right? He was doing like a workshop, I believe, and we were on this workshop, and it was about an hour, 2 hours long or whatever. But it was great, and we had a lot of fun there, and we connected, and a lot of people network. And I met you, and then you and I had a conversation, and I was like, "Oh my God, the fire is amazing!" I said,
"Fuego, baby!
She's got to be on the show," and so I loved it. So thank you so much for being here. This is awesome.
Well, I'm super stoked. We met, and as soon as you heard that I was Puerto Rican. You won that book. That's what happened. You won David Breyer's book. And you said, I already have this book. And David said,
Right.
so, and he never sent it to me. David, you never
Oh.
sent me the book. Okay.
Ooh.
But
Oh,
the
really?
thing that
Okay.
was so amazing, why I liked it was instant love, was because you said, I got to go with my Boricua sister. I'm going to gift
Right.
her the book.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I was on this thing. I forgot about that, and I won it. And then I was like, I have it, and yeah. So that was awesome. That was great. I totally forgot that. I'm glad you did. We have to get David though to do any. Of course, he will. Of course. Yeah, he will. I think he just doesn't know.
We just shamed him into it right now.
I know, right?
We've
He
had
will.
him on
He's
the
a great
show.
guy.
He was great.
Yeah.
Well,
Been
he's
on the show,
amazing. Yeah.
and yeah,
And we're all in the same business, right?
exactly. Yeah, the
Brand
brand.
business. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he's
So
the master.
let's jump right in. One of the things that we do here is we want to know a little bit about the history. George has some questions and stuff, so we're gonna get started with the questioning, and we'll start to the lawyer.
Interrogation.
I gotta say, I'm gonna have to change the background mid-show because this is so staid. I feel like it's just like
Well, you think
sort
I'm
of
actually?
yellow.
You think there's actually a curtain and there's like all these beautiful lights over me?
But purple is the color of royalty, Poppy. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I mean,
true.
we love
That's
very
that.
true.
We love
That's true.
that. I need that purple background back here. Okay,
Okay,
let's
so
go
Jorge,
with 20
go for
questions.
it.
Well, listen, we're excited to hear about this crazy journey that you
Yeah.
have been on. Okay. And it speaks to, you and your perseverance and, everything that you've gone through, but it's also going to help all the folks who are listening and who may be on a crazy journey themselves. Right. So
Yeah.
tell us how it all started for you.
Oh Lord, are you kidding? Like on La Isla, that's where it started.
Nice.
Here's the thing. I'm a Latina. I'm a fierce Latina, and I have always relished my culture and its differences. But I'm a woman of a certain age, and I have definitely felt, as recently as not even a handful of years ago, immense amounts of insidious discrimination. And that, I think, kind of maybe has led me on all these different paths. I'm also super creative, and I find that I'm equally left and right brained. So it's always this thing and this kind of lack of legitimacy that I felt, because if I went the creative route, I was too intelligent or whatever, and I had all this education. And if I went the analytical route, I was always like, that creative piece had to just worm its way in. And, a lot of times corporate America doesn't really want to take chances on innovation, despite a lot of the, but anyway, so I'm an attorney. I'm a marketer. I'm a brander. I'm an entrepreneur, a chef, a Latina, a tree hugger, a mom. I love Zumba and yoga and Wordle because I'm a wordsmith. And I have always fancied myself a storyteller since I was 5 years old. Mom likes to tell the story. I could barely speak English at the time because I was born in Puerto Rico. And the first story I ever wrote in English was about a hot dog from the perspective of the hot dog.
Oh, wow.
That got mustard on it and it felt cold. So from a very young age, I was always telling stories. I mean, I feel like I tell stories as an attorney for my clients, as a writer for my audience, as an author for my audience, as an entrepreneur when I speak. I can't help being passionate and vibrant and engaged. I don't know how to be something else. And creative, right? Trying to think outside the box, which when we talk to others and help coach them or help collaborate on projects, I've come to a point where I accept all those pieces of myself and I let them through. right? I let them through the veil. So the journey, let's see, all of those things. I was and am a public defender. I worked in the child abuse system, which was insane in Los Angeles County. I was a freelance and business litigation attorney. I was an actor for many, many years, and I'm a proud Screen Actors Guild member, AFTRA member. I've done a zillion voiceovers and commercials and film and TV, and I've written all of that as well. I'm a Writers Guild member. And then I was a marketing executive. I did a stint at Microsoft. I've run marketing teams at a whole bunch of startups. And I've launched multiple businesses myself. So my first foray into the entrepreneurial space was with Rico.
That's right.
Earth-friendly maliciousness. I love food and I love cooking and I love the planet. And my mission in life is to serve people and planet. So I kind of threw it all together along with all my filmmaking stuff and my spokespersonness and launched Rico, which took off immediately. First, healthy food and lifestyle Latin show. 2009, 2010, all of that. I still get comments on my YouTube channel, even though I haven't posted a video in a long time, and I have a ton that are just kind of sitting in my in the computer somewhere. When that business couldn't make any money with 1 million organic followers, I folded it among, just buckets of tears, buckets and buckets of tears. It was always my passion project. And I was so depressed about what I thought was a failure, right? Which now I know was an opportunity for growth. And I shipped myself off. I left Los Angeles and went to Washington State, where I was VP of a food startup, and then another, startup, and then another startup. And then I was in Microsoft. And then I was, I ran social media for Microsoft stores.
Wow.
Agencies, T-Mobile, some Amazon work, some, Meta. It's been insane. And so that took me to another one of my companies, Gigi's Organics. Hello, adobo and sazon.
Adobo y sazon.
Yeah,
Wow.
organic Latin seasonings.
Wow. I actually have a lot of opinions on adobo, because I remember adobo used to be all these really natural ingredients. And then a few years ago, I went and I bought an adobo, which I just thought was adobo. And I looked at the ingredients and it had some MSG in there.
Bad. I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying?
I know who you're talking about.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no. So mine, I make myself.
Wow.
I make myself. Everything is, it is organic, GMO-free, vegan, gluten-free, kosher, you name it. It's all the things. And it just gives flavor, baby. Flavor. Yeah. So Gigi's Organics. Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing when I was growing up, it was, my mom would take us out to Burger King and Little Caesars Pizza as a treat.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Never in my life have I done that to my child, right? Because, where did all of the companies that needed to test products and, I won't even go into that, but, marginalized communities that get the testing done. So not me. I'm all about organic, natural products.
That's awesome. Wow.
I love it.
So then the third company is Brandlicious, and that is my marketing firm.
What I just something that hits me. What I love about this is that you started the first company and that doesn't work out, but that doesn't stop you from doing it again.
Yeah.
And that's the key, because a lot of people would stop right after that first one and say, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go back to work. I'm just going to go do the 9 to 5. I'm just going to do that. But no, you actually said, you know what? I can do this again. Right. Speaks to the mindset there.
It's the
Right?
mindset. Yeah, it
So the
absolutely.
entrepreneurial mindset is a particular thing,
It is.
Yes.
and it's also I don't know. Are we more risk averse? Is it that we just, I mean, I feel such a pull, right? Here I was an attorney and then I was an actor. And people were like, "Ooh." I mean, I went to Stanford, my
Yeah.
friends are running the world. And I was like, I'm an actor, and and I was really good.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's just I can't help it.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
that's
Yes.
that's. I was just gonna say that's the part of it that
Yes.
you can't help it. I just saw a clip from Miles Davis, and they asked him. They said, "Would you still play music if you never played for anyone?" And he was like, "Of course, hell yeah." He's like, "Because I love music. It's all I ever think about."
Yeah.
And it's like it is. Being an entrepreneur is something that you are. I think you're born with it. I'm not. I don't have proof of that, but I just feel that there's something in us that has to create something that we know we can communicate and it can help others.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We always every single business that we ever had is always to help others with something, either
Yeah.
understanding the world better, healthy food, get mental mindset, building a brand so they can increase their income and help their families more. So these are all things that will help, and that's what an entrepreneur really should do. And what happens is in the last 10 years, everyone became an entrepreneur, right? But they became an entrepreneur because it seemed nice. Oh, I'm my
Hmm.
own boss. I don't have to.
Right.
Well, when you're an entrepreneur, you work way more than 40 hours
Hmm.
Oh,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have bosses.
Right.
Sometimes you have more bosses. Like if I'm working on a video or something, yeah, it's my video company and I'm doing the video, but I have the guy who's paying me. I have the people in front of the camera. I have the
That's right.
writer that wants to, all the things. And so they're not, I wouldn't say they're bosses, but they are definitely people that I have to listen to because
so
they're the
what
ones
I
in the
would
know.
speaking of mindset, I would just shift that language and say they're your partners.
Correct.
Hmm.
And we've talked about this. The entrepreneurial journey can be lonely.
Oh,
Yeah.
And because you have a vision, there's a vision. You have, dreams, goals, and a vision. And the thing about it is the reason that this entire entrepreneurial business, the knowledge business, is growing by leaps and bounds and is going to be $1 trillion a day business, right? Like everyone's looking for information now. And we have the platforms and the digital ability, the space to do that and to find it. And
mhm.
so just because you're an entrepreneur doesn't mean you're going to succeed and it's okay, right? Some people may have ideas and vision and the best place they can put them is in their job because there are other pieces of what you need as an entrepreneur. And obviously the biggest one is to have your mind right
Mhm.
because there are certain things that you have to kind of shift, right? One of the things that I always had trouble with was being a salesperson. And I looked at it as a dirty job. I didn't want to sell. But the thing is, if you think of instead of sales as some dirty word and you think of sales as a service,
Right.
Hmm.
and what you bring to the world as a service that you provide somebody who needs it,
Sure.
then you are doing a disservice to everyone by not succeeding, by not bringing your vision to the world, by not creating that video for them that is going to expand their horizon, expand the people who know about them, right?
Yeah.
So I teach this. This is part of the things that, I talk to people about. And
Yeah.
it's part of mindset. It's understanding as an entrepreneur that you are in the service business. You provide something somebody desperately needs.
Mhm.
They
Yeah. And
need what you're offering.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting because it's also the difference between, like you say, a salesman who's selling something, but they may not necessarily believe in the
Yes.
product, versus a person who created something that they completely 100% believe that's going to come across in the sales as well, right? So big
100%.
difference.
Exactly.
It's a conversation you have with somebody that you know really well, right?
Right.
I talk about branding. The reason I love branding and brand storytelling is because they're puzzles for me. It is a puzzle for me. Stories are puzzles. Businesses are puzzles. The reason I call them brands, I always ask this question, what's the difference between a brand and a business?
Hmm.
Anyone?
Well, what's
Heart.
your
Heart.
heart? Yeah.
Heart is the difference.
Yeah.
Because your heart is in it, but you're also reaching your ideal client's heart, their values. You're helping them attain their vision for the future, right? It's a symbiotic relationship. You're both reaching for each other together to cross a chasm.
Yeah. And you mentioned something earlier about the lonely, being a lonely world when you're an entrepreneur. And, I talk a lot about also the quiet times, because people don't see when you're sitting there for hours on a webinar that's not giving you what you thought it was. You paid some money for it, so you're going to stick it out, hopefully. And then you find a webinar that's free, that has amazing answers and amazing content. And people don't realize that you spend a lot of hours trying to figure it out, because now things are a little bit more figured out. So you can follow certain people like David Breyer, and there's certain people that we can actually kind of attach ourselves to. And our favorite brand builder, who's here with us today. So, you have those things. So I think it's a little bit easier for someone coming into the space. But 10 years ago, man, you just were trying to figure it out. You had no idea what was
Dude, it was
the right
so
thing.
hard to build Eco Rico. It was just, I loved it, but dude, it was social media 8 hours a day. And then it was the rest of the business. And the thing is, like, being an attorney, I knew how to set everything up, right? I do all of my corporate stuff. I do my contracts. I negotiate whatever, when I was negotiating licensing agreements, it was me. And, I can't imagine having to find all of those people, but we do, right? And we find the people, we attract the people that need us.
Yeah, attract.
We attract the people that need us. So we're talking about brand building, right? You guys know I created a 4-pillar brand roadmap.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that.
And so the first one is, I call it set your brand goals, but that's the mindset piece, right? Because you really, like we all know, you got to fortify and strengthen and constantly be innovating and improving yourself. And that takes having the right mindset, right? The second piece is defining your brand. You have an idea. What are you going to do with that idea? Well, first you have to know thyself. You got to know what your vision, your mission, vision and values are, your purpose for putting this out to the world, right? Like, energy is real. And you're in a service business, and people are going to know if you're full of shit. They are. They're going to know if what you're doing does not resonate with your soul, because you can't fake it.
Yeah, especially now on social media, people they're much more keen to be able to spot some BS.
Yeah, people are sophisticated. And if you see, right, like 10 years ago, do you think I would be out there, no makeup, with a hat on, talking to people about your brand story? My mother would be banging on my door going, Giselle, where's your lipstick? Where's your lipstick, Gigi?
¿Qué tú haces, muchacha?
Sí, Dios mío, por favor, ¿qué pasó? No tienes tu lipstick puesto.
¿Qué tú haces? Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't want.
No. Okay, so the second part is defining your brand, right? You have to know your brand purpose and all of that, your mission, vision, values, the problem you solve, the benefits you provide, because brands, right? I said it's all about heart. So a lot of people think that your solutions are kind of the end of the puzzle. They're not. The people that you want to attract. Third pillar, know your ideal client, right? Their demographics, their psychographics, their behavior. That's all about human behavior and what attracts people to you. And it's an alignment of values, right? The people who are going to find this show are going to align with what you guys are doing.
Right.
They just are. They're going to dig
Exactly.
it. They're going to be like, wow, there's an interesting person. Wow, they've got a filmmaker, and then they've got a brand builder, and then they've got business people. Wow, they're helping me do all this stuff. And it's okay to be all these things, because these two boricuas are out there talking it, right? They're doing it.
Yep.
So know your ideal client,
I
right?
think Russell Brunson, I believe, calls it building your avatar.
Yes. So your ideal client can be your niche, your avatar, your customer, your whatever it is, right? Avatar for me, despite the movie, avatar for me is just inhuman, right? Like I look at marketing never as B2B, B2C, or B to H. I think of it as H to H, human to human.
Yeah.
Because you're always talking to a person.
Heart to heart.
Bingo. And then the fourth pillar is writing your brand story. And writing your brand story is the foundation for all of your marketing, right? That is your messaging, your positioning. Once you've gone through these three pillars, and I have tons of exercises and assignments and worksheets and blah, 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 and free content. I do master classes. And I have, I put 20 for 20 courses together this week, right? 20 minutes for $20. And it's a huge amount of content, right? But in $20, entrepreneurs who have no time can just download this thing. I walk them through exactly what your value proposition is. I define it for them. I give them an exercise, and you do it. By the end of 20 minutes, you're going to write your value prop, which is your elevator pitch. 100%. Like, demystify this, right? Demystify it.
Right, exactly.
You gotta simplify this stuff, because people are going nuts. They're like, oh my God, I'm marketing. Well, simplify, and streamline and standardize your processes. And that way you can focus on what you do best. So anyway, writing your brand story is all about teaching the 3-act structure. It's about, really creating a message that attracts your ideal client and resonates with the people you're supposed to bring to you to serve. Yeah.
Love that. I love that.
Yeah,
and the what you said, simplify it, man, that is like such a key thing, because you can go online, someone that's like searching for stuff, and they can just get bombarded with so much confusing data, so much confusing viewpoints, but when you have something that's like what you're presenting, these four, it just really it makes it simple for them to look at it and be able to confront it. Because some of the courses, it's like, and have you seen these courses that'll be like, sign up now, you get 1,500 different videos on just this, 14,000 videos on just this, and just being going through that. I mean, it's great because it's content, but who has that kind of time to go through so much videos?
That's the thing, right? There's something called a value ladder. And the value ladder is the ladder of all of the different things you do. I'm going to talk to you about Russell in just a second. Free content, low price content, medium price content, high price content. So, people come into your funnel at different places along their journey and where they are, right? And so I give as much to my masterclass. I mean, you were talking about this, John Henry. I spend so many hours on my content. I mean, just insane amount of hours. And though, perfect is the enemy of good, or whatever that thing is, I want to be sure that I do these three things. This is my branding philosophy. I tell all my teams this: simplify, streamline, and standardize. And each one of them have a certain thing. You need to simplify context into the human language, right? How often do you sit here and you get all this corporate speak and you're like, oh my God, your eyes glaze over. Just talk to a human being, right? Simplify it. When you have the experiences that all three of us have, we can talk all day about our stuff, but you're going to lose people, right? That's why the 20 for 20 is just like, bam.
Yeah. I love that. And I want to just confirm your site. Is this
GiselleAchecar.com. Yeah. I have multiple sites. There's GiselleAchecar.com, which has my brand work. Gigi'sOrganics.com is the
Nice.
You know what I mean? And I'm building out brandlicious.net, which is my branding company. And then of course
Okay.
there's Eco Rico TV. I've got brands all over the place, but you can go to GiselleAchecar.com for all the brand stuff. And you can, if you want to get a 20 for 20, you can get it there. I'm about to put up a 2-hour masterclass that one of my partners did. Because one of the things that I also love doing is helping entrepreneurs build and launch their business. Like, what are the steps that you have to do in order to launch? I mean, everything from mindset is always first, number one, to how to incorporate,
Right.
how to find your brand name, how to do a tagline, like really the steps. Because what I find a lot, and you guys tell me if you find this too, is you can be in a 2-hour workshop and you get 5 minutes of content.
Oh,
Yep.
God, that pisses me off.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
That's what I was saying about the webinars that sometimes you're on and you leave there going, wow, I learned one thing for whatever.
Thank you for the one thing.
Thank you for the one thing. It took 2 hours for you to get there. Yeah. That's always the. But let me ask you a question, because you mentioned this earlier about being Latina and feeling feeling that you're not to use the word minority, because that's been overused, right? But in this space, you have sort of an advantage and a disadvantage. How do you look at it?
Okay, you can look at that a million ways. So there are multiple questions in your question, because one is the entire Latina thing, which implies, of course, that I'm a woman. So there's the female piece, there's the gender piece, there is the ethnic piece, the cultural piece, and then there's the business piece. I mean, there are just lots of things about it. I find, as an attorney decades ago, really, I wasn't paid the same as my male peers. I wasn't talked to the same way. I didn't get the same work in firms. The saving grace was that I came in from, Duke and Stanford. And so people obviously knew I had intellect, I was intelligent, but it didn't matter, because at the end of the day, I would not get the same assignments, the same money, the same access. And so I have certainly experienced that my whole life. And then the other piece is, it's the dog whistles. And for Latin people, it's their passion, right? We have, especially island people, like sometimes Latinos are their worst enemies, because the Mexicans don't want to talk to the Puerto Ricans because we're different, and the Cubans and the this, and it's nuts. And we have differences, right? Like our culture is different. Our words are different. When I ended up in California from the East Coast, I was like, chamarra, ¿qué es una chamarra? A jacket. It's a jacket. You know what I mean? I didn't know, like, what? And so it's an interesting thing. There's a language component and a cultural and a food component. And Caribbean people are like up in the air. You can hear it in our music. It's vibrant and fast and
Very
and
passionate.
then you can hear it in the Aztec Earth people. It's different, right? So each part of the Latin cultural diaspora in this country has its differences. I've heard a lot, Giselle, we love your passion, but can you just tone it down?
Oh gosh.
Can you just tone it down? And I'm like, wow.
I've had.
And then when you tone it down, people are like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why aren't you being you? And I'm like, you just told me not to be me, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or you
so
feel uncomfortable having conversations. So your conversation like that, it happens to me. I was told once to not wear my hat, not this particular hat, but I usually wear funky hats, whatever. So I was going out and I had a hat, and we were going door knocking for some political thing, and they said, "Can you take off your hat?" Because, and I took off my hat, and I felt so not me, and so I felt awkward for the rest of the night, and it was like I just felt like, and not because I needed to have the hat on like for security. It was just that that was what I wanted to wear.
it
It's
was
like if
like you'd
someone.
been delegitimized.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They
Yeah.
they made me feel less than what I am, and
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate it. But I think, and now I wear it every show. So just
You
to,
be you, Poppy. Listen, I'll give you another horrifying example, which I haven't said this in a long time. When I was in Hollywood, um, the equivalent of blackface for Latinas on TV was orange face. And, because I was too light, I was too light for Latin commercials, but I was too dark for mainstream white commercials. And so, in order to let them know, because I don't have an accent and I don't talk like this, I can if you want me to, pero what I'm saying is that's another character, you know what I mean? Anyway, because I enunciate and didn't have an accent because I grew up here and I'm an American with a passport as a citizen. They would make sure that people knew they had cast a Latina by making me darker.
oh
And it
my,
was horrifying.
how did they do that? By
The makeup, they would
just
make me up and
actual makeup on
they
you?
would make me up darker. It's horrifying.
That's so terrible.
The first commercial I ever booked, national commercial, I will not say who it was, but I had been cast in the Spanish commercial, right? Not the English commercial. And when we got on set and we were shooting, the client hated the mom who was cast with the white family. And they fired her right there on the set. And the agency director came up to me in my face and said, "Do you speak English?"
Oh my
Wow.
God, what
And
the
I
heck?
went like this. I went, "Oh my God, of course I speak English. I'm Puerto Rican." They were horrified. They were freaking horrified. And I just looked at the guy and I was like, "Yes, I speak English. It's okay. I'm
Oh
good."
my God.
And so they put me in the English commercial because he heard
Wow.
no accent. He knew I could speak English and I didn't talk like this. And then I wasn't Rita Moreno and
Right,
Hello.
right.
Did he know I had a law degree?
Wow.
I have so many stories like that. Like that's the stuff that
Yeah, yeah,
people don't talk about, right? Which is
Right.
why in advertising, it's been so hard for Latinos to get in because we're an ethnic cultural
yeah,
group, right? It's not about necessarily skin color unless you have your mestiza or have more Indian in your background. But in Puerto Rico, mi gente, we're white and green and blue-eyed, which is what, by the way, my last
right.
name means, the blonde one.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'll explain that in a moment. And I had an uncle who was, like dark.
Yeah.
So we're all of it, but we're
Yes.
all Boricua. You know what I mean?
Right. I've told the story before, but I was walking into the elevator once. I was coming home from work, and I lived in an upscale building on the Upper West Side. Just by luck, I just was able to afford this place. And I'm coming in the elevator with some food that I bought from a local food place, and I'm holding it. I got in the elevator, and the guy walked in, big tall white guy. He looks at me. He's like, "Oh, where are you taking that to?"
Oh my God. Oh, I have a great story.
But I
It's
told him,
horrifying. What did you say to him? What'd you say?
I said, I kind of like smiled and I kind of knew and I said, I'm taking it to my house on the 11th floor. And he turned beet red. And that was the next floor. He got off, I think, on the 8th floor or something. And he was just horrified. But yeah,
Taking it back to branding, that was an excellent elevator pitch.
right. There you go. There you go. I want to. You were gonna say something.
I was going to tell a quick story, but then we got to get off this
good.
because people are going to feel like, oh, it's a bash.
No.
I lived in Los Angeles, right? And I lived in Los Feliz. I had a beautiful home that I had bought myself with my own money, that I made. That is worth a lot of money now. I should never have sold it. But anyway, so I was in the park and I was, I've raised my kid myself. And so I was in the park and there were a lot of nannies with their kids. And of course, I would speak Spanish to them. And they assumed I was a nanny, not a mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we all do it to you know what I'm saying? Because we have like these, bias is real. Bias is real. And, we talk a lot now. Everybody's, oh, what's unconscious bias? Well, a little self-reflection and you will have that too. We all have it, right? We can't help that about ourselves. So, self-reflection is a good thing.
Yeah. My wife was a nanny in New York City, and my wife is a tall white woman. So they never they would always talk to her differently than the other nannies. And she always mentioned that to me. And it's just it's an interesting thing. I wanted to bring up something about the Hollywood for a second, and we don't have to go into Hollywood, but you're an
We can. I was there for 20 years.
Yeah. So
wow.
But here's one of the things.
I did everything. I really did. Like even General Hospital. Like if somebody could go way back.
Yeah. So I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second, just on the fact that as Latinos, right, and we say, well, we can't get into Hollywood, and Hollywood is tied into. I always think to myself, like I make my own films. I write them, I cast them, I shoot them, I edit some of them. And they're not Latino films.
Nope.
They're stories that I'm telling, and these are the people that kind of look how they should be in my film, right? Why hasn't this happened? And maybe it has, and maybe I'm just living under a rock somewhere. But why hasn't like the big powerhouses in Hollywood, Latino, the J-Los, the Ricky Martins, I don't know, pick whatever other Latinos, big Latinos, band together and create a massive studio? Like I know J-Lo has a studio. I know she has a studio, and I know that there's a lot of them. But if we have such amazing stories and performers. I mean, it's a well that will never go dry. I look at films, and the films are good that are coming out, but they're stories that have been told. They're not that interesting. There's very rarely anyone that looks like us. And if they do, they're usually, colored or something, or just they're not really
orange,
or they're Natalie Wood, Puerto Rican, and West Side Story, that kind of thing. Which, again, we're not bashing anyone. We're just kind of like, I'm just kind of like amazed at the fact that hasn't occurred yet, where there's a huge that will compete with MGM and Paramount and all those, because of the fact that there's a lot of cash behind it. And when you put a lot of that together, I think it's just. I mean, I'm building it. I'm building it. My mine here in Nashville, and it'll go everywhere. But why hasn't that happened?
This is a big topic, and
it is.
It's a big topic because, gosh, I've asked this question so many times. One of the issues with everything is access.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's access. And no matter what we want to say, white men still control money. That's where a lot of the big money is. It was interesting. J-Lo had a documentary on Netflix that I watched when she and Shakira were doing the Super Bowl. And she made a comment about they couldn't even allow one of us to do a Super Bowl. They had to put two Latinas because two Latinas are the equivalent of one X, right? You know, those that just all still exists. And there's a huge amount of tokenism. There's a huge amount of you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily want to just I don't tell Latin stories. I tell universal stories.
Right.
Right?
That's
Like I wrote a screenplay on an aircraft carrier. You know what I'm saying? I had nothing to do with any of that, but I did it.
right.
So you know, it just I have all kinds of stories.
Yeah.
Do I have an affinity for like spiritual realism and woo woo and curses and all that shit? Because you know, Santeria, you know what I'm saying? And we come up in a society and a culture that is full of spiritual realism and all of those things. Yeah, those things permeate my stories. But that's not just because I'm Latina, but it is a big part of our culture, right? We wear medallions and we've got santos, and you know, you're born and you're given a saint, and you're, you know, all those things. That's me, you know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you're, you know, writing, and if you're Puerto Rican, you're expected to write things. I grew up in the South Bronx, grew up poor, you know, the violence was there, the fires of the 70s, all that stuff, the crack, that was all real, you know, that was part of my upbringing. I have no interest in telling those stories because those are kind of ugly stories. Now, there are stories that you can tell in there of a successful someone that was there that kind of made it out, or someone that's actually trying to do something good in the space. You know, I think that would be an interesting. I mean, my latest film right now that was here in Nashville at the festival here in Nashville, it's about a real estate office and a guy who's been working there for. It has nothing to do with. I played one little cameo there, and I played a guy with a Spanish accent just because I thought, let me just throw that in there.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's the other thing. We led with this, which is our stories are universal stories, and our culture people can relate to because, you know, Black America and Puerto Ricans have a lot in common, as do Italians and as do the Irish and as do the immigrant story and stuff like that. There are some things I have more affinity for, but you know, universal archetypes are universal archetypes. And there's a reason for that because we all have a common humanity. And so how we express it is different. I mean, there are billions of stories to be told. And I can't wait to see your real estate office story.
Yeah, thank you. I'll send it to you.
Good.
What's your thought on Lin-Manuel?
Oh, I love Lin-Manuel. You know, it breaks my heart to when during the pandemic he went down there and people were just like, you know, upset about certain things, and I was just like, man, he's got our backs, you know. And we need to support each other instead of tear each other down. And that's one thing, you know, Latinos don't do, because I mentioned the word tokenism. We live in a scarce mentality, and so the thing about you talking about a studio and Hollywood and all of this requires a growth mindset, which is almost antithetical to Hollywood and the closed doors and the everything else.
You know, I just a quick thought and on that point there, when especially when John was talking about, you know, why wouldn't they create their own thing? Because those artists themselves, in my opinion, there is also that fear from the artists themselves of possibly alienating themselves from that mainstream. Right?
From
You
the
know,
access.
from the access, right?
They're afraid
Exactly.
of not having
They're volunteering themselves. They're actually doing it voluntarily and kind of taking that access away and maybe saying, okay, now, all right, so these guys are now going to do their own thing. So you know what? good. They don't need to be
Yeah,
back
but
over
then
here.
again, that again is part of a lack mentality. It's
But
not that
that
they can't
exactly, but
do that. They can
that's what I'm
do that,
saying.
and
It's
they
in the
can do the
mindset.
other, right?
Right.
So
Right. Right.
Lin-Manuel,
Right.
right? He can do In the Heights, and he can do Hamilton, and he can do, HBO, and he can do, voices on whatever. And so there is no lid. There is no ceiling.
Right. It's
And
just
we've
fake.
grown up under ceilings
Right.
over and over and over and over again. And it's taken me decades, like even in my own home.
Right.
My brother, who was younger than me, do you think he had curfews and he could, had all this stuff? No, I had it because I was a girl. I couldn't
Yeah.
get this because I was a girl. I couldn't do that. So from a young age, we're literally like indoctrinating youth
Yes.
to have a certain mindset, and then we try to unravel it for the rest of our lives. And I shudder at how much I have effed up my own daughter, right? Like even not wanting to, but I can't
Right.
help myself, right?
Right.
Because of how I've grown up. So
Right.
it's like every generation, I see this in my law clients, right? Like I talk about it being in the juvenile justice system. People say, Giselle, how can you do that? How can you work with abused, neglected, molested kids? And I say, well, how can you represent their parents? And I said, because they were abused, neglected, and molested.
Right.
These are generational issues.
Sure.
This is stuff that
Sure.
we have to just keep chipping away at, because
Right.
every generation can be better. Every next business I launch can be better. I can look at it instead of as a failure, as I call it, opportunities for growth. And we have to look at that in the business, in the creative business, and in the creative space, and as in the entrepreneurial business, right? Like I'm in the knowledge business. I'm making courses, I'm doing digital content, I'm creating things to sell online. I'm doing master classes, I do webinars, all these things, right? That I'm building out to teach people everything that I've learned, right? The people who come, like my last master class, it was so different. I had people in finance, I had people in holistic medicine, I had life coaches, I had a woman who wanted to teach women how to use power tools. I had, and they all there's no smallness. It all has value. Like
Yeah.
all these ideas have value, but they don't know what the next step is.
Mhm.
And I do for
Yes.
them.
Right.
Right.
And then somebody will know what my next step is for me, or somebody will open a door for me, right? Like that's how it works,
That's how it
paying it
works.
forward, right?
Yeah.
But that's why the fact that they're even on there with you shows that, just like when you have mindset as the first one, right? Mindset, if you can't get past mindset, you're not going to get anything else done. You got to get that piece
Yeah.
first. I see it in the nutrition space, right? Someone who wants to change their diet, someone who wants to get into fitness and health, that's a mindset with that. If they don't want to get up in the morning, if they don't want to eat good food, they don't want to do all this and that, it's not going to matter. It has to start up here first. So the fact that they're even on there with you is showing, okay, their willingness to say,
Yeah.
you know what, let's take it to the next step.
Yeah, that's it's true. I mean, I'm just going to come right back. By the way, people, if you don't know how Puerto Ricans speak, we speak in tangents. So I'm literally going to go come right back in. You mentioned Russell Brunson. I'm not going to let this go. So Russell talks about ideal client.
Mhm.
And that's pillar 3 for me. For him, it's number 1.
Interesting.
Mhm.
But see, my thing is, the reason it's not number 1, the reason I say this all the time, because people will say, well, so-and-so says this, and Russell's phenomenal and has built something extraordinary. And I love it, right? ClickFunnels is amazing.
Right.
But I'm of a different opinion, because I believe that in order for you to find your ideal client, You must know your own mission, vision, values, purpose,
Right.
and set your brand goals by understanding where you are today, where you want to go in 12 months, where you want to be in 18 months, etc. I think those steps come first.
Yeah.
Because all of that, your story attracts the people that need to hear the story.
Right.
Correct.
Yep.
Now, I'm always playing devil's advocate. Could it be?
Love you, Russell. Love you, Russell.
We love Russell. Russell is great. But could it be that his mindset is already different than our mindset is from our upbringing, being Latin
Yeah, of
Americans,
course.
and so he may not really look at it the way we are. Mindset has to be for us. It has to be we have to. I had to know when I was in the Bronx that I didn't want to die in the streets.
Yeah.
My mindset had to be that way. I had to have the mindset that I knew I was going to survive. I knew I was going to try to get out. With all that was going on in that environment, that was my mindset from a very, very young age. And I had my mom supported me. I was raised mainly by my grandparents, but they were all, taking care of me. But I had to have the mindset because I knew people that were being taken care of by their parents that didn't make it.
Yeah,
They didn't
that's
make it
right.
because their mindset was.
That's just a whole, look, it's upbringing. There's a huge piece we're not talking about, which
Yes.
is socioeconomic status,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Marginalized communities, just by their very nature, because of access, money, lack of generational wealth,
Mhm.
not having property, whatever it is, right?
Right.
I grew up differently. When we first started, we were very, very poor, but my father's a doctor. And so then I wasn't poor, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so, and I went to private schools and I, went to the top schools and I'm like, educational elite. And so that puts me in a different socioeconomic class. And I see it, right? Because I see with when I practiced law with my clients, and the things that they have to go through in the struggle. I mean, I do not know what it feels like to live in survival on the streets in the Bronx. I don't, thank God. And that just forms a different hunger and a different whatever. At the end of the day, obviously, we're all going to go, when we're building our success, we're all going to have to cultivate a growth mindset in order to get to the next piece, in order to persevere, in order to, really come to know ourselves and accept ourselves and get past whatever shame and guilt and everything else we have that's preventing us from living to our potential. And all of our experiences are going to be different. But yeah, dude, your experience is.
Yeah.
And it changes their generations moving forward.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was, because George and I talk about this a lot, how this is so important that us three are here right now, because we are the generation that's changing that
Right.
that shift. We're shifting that mindset. Like my kids do not understand the South Bronx.
Yeah.
I don't want them to understand
Right.
that. They don't know anything. My son is just where he wants his tablet, he wants his
Yeah.
ice cream, and that's his reality. My reality was not that, and I remember growing up and thinking that that's something that I would like to do I didn't know if I was going to succeed, but I did think with the idea that I want to be different than what's here right now,
Right.
and I love everyone that's here, my family, but I was just an oddball, and so was George. I mean, we were both sort of the black sheep of the family. We were both playing rock music,
Me too. Okay, so I was that too. I totally was that too, because my favorite band in high school was AC/DC and Led Zeppelin. Okay, so like Highway to Hell was seminal for me. Oh my God. All of that is my thing. But I loved the Jackson 5 and I loved Mark Anthony and I loved, Brujeria and Dancing Salsa.
Gran Combo.
That. Yes, the Gran Combo. All of it is is who I am. And people are going to resonate with that or they're not. And I really
Exactly.
spent a lot of time thinking that I had to change in order to fit in.
Mm.
I really don't do that so much anymore.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Yeah, I stopped that a long time ago.
Yes. Yep.
I
That don't
am
work
who
for
I
me.
am. And look, and our missions and our purpose and our values evolve. I say this a lot to entrepreneurs. Who we were yesterday is not who we are today. And
Mhm.
when I'm now teaching and in my courses or coaching or consulting with clients, the things I'm building today are speaking to the me of 10 years ago, because I don't want anybody to go through the buckets of tears that I shed
Yeah.
when I had to dissolve Eco Rico Entertainment.
Right.
And I had no one to turn to help me get to the next place. And I didn't have to give it up. I didn't have to, but I did. Right. I thought I did, but it just keeps coming back.
Right.
And so if I can help somebody avoid that pain by helping, by sharing everything I've learned along the way, that's what I want to do. And it
Exactly.
makes me feel so good.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. So we're at the top of the hour. I can't believe it.
What? How
Yes,
can that be?
I know. This is
No,
what
no, there's too much more.
this is what happens. This is what happens. But I wanted to ask you, people that are out there watching this right now, what's one of the steps? What's one of the first steps? Obviously, mindset is always a key thing. But let's say they have the mindset, and they're just trying to figure out where to go. What should they do? What should they be looking for?
So what are we talking about? Somebody has an idea and they want to know what
Yeah, they want to
to
build
do.
something better for themselves. They want to, they feel like they're an entrepreneur, but maybe they don't know how to take that first step, because there's nothing wrong in someone taking that step to see if it's actually going to be something that they would like. Not everyone likes being an entrepreneur. I know
Mhm.
people that have jobs, they love their jobs. They get their 2 weeks, they get their, sometimes 3 weeks at this point now. They got a pay increase every year. They have their house, their cars. They go on. They love their family. What I mean. So there are people that are it's totally fine. But someone that's out there that wants to take that risk, what's one of the first steps besides going to GiselleAchecar.com?
Well, that is the first step.
That's the
Understand what your idea is, right? You've got to flush out an idea. And you have to know where you are today and where you want to go in 12 months. I call that's all part of that first pillar. The first pillar is all about setting your brand goals. And a piece of that, of course, is knowing why you're doing what you're doing, right? Like step one is, I've got a great idea and I want to do what with it? Right? What do you want to do? Right? One of the things that people do too much of is they take a bigger bite than they can handle at the moment. So that's why one of the first exercises I have is, where are you today? Like, honestly assess where you are today. Even if you have a business, where are you today? And what are your goals in 12 months? Where do you want to be? If a year from now you had the best year of your life, what would it look like? Do that. Do that for yourself. See what it means. See what appears to you. Is it that you're going to have this idea and you're going to actually have a business? Or could you have that idea and take it to work, right? You're just saying the entrepreneurial mindset is a very specific thing. You may not be risk averse for it, right? Like, and it's okay, because you can do all of that. You can innovate creatively in the space you are now, in the job you are now. Or if you want, if you say, hey, I want to write a book in the next year, great. What's your idea? Flush it out. Sign up for Chat GPT and see if that's going to help you, right? Like, talk to people who have already done it. I'll tell you one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made in my life. I did not have mentors.
Oh yeah. I did the same
Really
thing.
find people
Yes.
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 who have been where you are
Mhm.
and who have crossed the promised land.
Mhm.
Find them. And mentors can be lots of different people, right? Like my best friend is my mentor and I am hers for different things. She's an extremely accomplished businesswoman, and we riff on ideas all the time. We also like bitch and moan about our children, you know what I mean, and life, and yoga, you know what I mean. So there are different things. Mentors are everywhere, but really, I wish I had mentors to help guide me, and I didn't, because in Hollywood, I had too much fear, and I had this, and I felt like doors were too closed. And, I made excuses and excuses and excuses. So know thyself,
Yeah.
know your idea, know where you want to be 1 year from today.
Love that.
Beautiful.
Love that. Giselle Achecar, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been a true honor to have you on. And again, like I said, when we were chatting before the show, usually it's got to be a part 2 at some point. Because, I feel
Please,
like-
I love it.
Yeah.
I support you guys 100,000%.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
for everybody out there, if something here resonated with you, go to GiselleAchecar.com, schedule a call with me. I love to chat. So
love it.
you can do that right from the website.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Giselle Achecar, thank you so much for being
Thank
on,
you.
and we will see
Absolutely.
you soon.
Mi gente.
Take care. Bye-bye. Wow.
Wow. Amazing information, huh?
You know what I'm saying? So this is the kind of show that gets me like jazzed up when then I can't concentrate on things that I'm just focused on so many other things.
So many
But we
great
are-
points in there.
A lot of
so many
great points, man. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the thing about it, that we have to understand that having which I wish we talked more about it, but we can actually maybe touch on it next time about mentors, because people do not take advantage of finding someone, and a good
Correct.
mentor would love to help you. That's the thing.
Correct.
They're out there, they really, really want to help. So that's a
And it doesn't. I mean, even if it's not someone who's one-on-one, but there's so many mentors just out there in general, just in anywhere. You can just look at somebody's people's stories and things that they've gone through, and they could be like your mentors even from far away, right?
But you can go to GiselleAchecar.com, and she can be your mentor, because
Absolutely.
she's amazing. So, George, thank you very much. Everyone, thank you so
Sure.
much for watching. We appreciate you very much, and we really, really do. We appreciate the messages and everything that you guys are supporting us. We love to be here. It's been 2 years. We're going to keep going here. We're going to be doing some interesting things in the next few episodes, which I think you're going to love, and we're very, very excited about it. So we'll see you all again next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Counterpartsshow.com. For George Batista, John Henry Soto, thank you, and good night. And as always,
Peace.